Welcome back to episode 161 of the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast. My name is Josh. I'm here. Troy. Snowy evening here in Minnesota. Haven't had a lot of these this winter. It's barely snowed here, so it feels kind of weird, Troy.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. I'm all for the global warming. Give me my 40 to 60 degree winters. I love it. I'm just kidding. But yeah, first time we've had snow in a long time. And I think it broke our record of like a ridiculous amount of days above freezing for Minnesota in the winter.
Really? Yeah, I'm not surprised there. Well, we need our Minnetonka girls high school hockey playoff update. Are you guys alive and well in the hunt for the state championship?
We are still alive. We have made it to the Section 2 AA championship game, which will be Friday against, I guess, our rival, Holy Family.
Ooh,
I guess. Holy Family beat Minnetonka. We've had to play Holy Family, I think the last 2 years, maybe in the section finals, or I don't know. They're not our favorite.
You guys lost to them this year?
No, we haven't played them. We lost to Hill Murray.
You said that they beat Minnetonka, and you're Minnetonka.
What?
You said Holy Family beat Minnetonka.
Oh, well, I didn't mean to. Holy Family's has never beaten us at Minnetonka.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. We wouldn't talk like that. Holy Family has never. How many games you guys lost this year? Like two?
Yep.
Oh, wow. All right, man. Well, it's do or die at this point, huh? This is sort of the nervousness of the postseason.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, on paper, we should win, but we can always lay an egg. They can come out fired up, and we'll just have to see how it goes. That's why they play the games, as they say.
Any given Sunday or any given Friday, I guess, in your case this week. Well, my daughter tonight couldn't go because we're recording our show. She's going to her first PWHL game at Xcel Energy Center in St. Paul. I didn't even ask her who they're playing, but pretty excited to get her feedback on that and to see. She's 15, freshman in high school, and her first chance to see the PWHL live. So pretty excited to get her feedback there. And from everything I've heard, is the games are a lot of fun, very physical, and the arenas have been full. So seems like they're off to a good start. You got any games yet, Troy?
No, I won't be able to go to any. I'm assuming until after high school.
Yeah,
we'll see. It looks like they moved one of their games to Ritter, which would be fun because Ritter Arena is where the Gopher women play, and it's a lot smaller than Xcel Energy Center. Because I'm assuming at Xcel Energy Center they just sell the lower bowl. I don't know if they open the top bowl, but Ritter would be sweet.
Ritter's unique too because it's one of the only exclusive arenas to girls hockey and in college. I'm sure there's a few more now, but I think Wisconsin might have their own arena too, and maybe a couple other schools. But that does make the University of Minnesota a little bit unique in that regard.
Yeah.
A lot to get into hockey card related. Hockey Card Gongshow podcast here. And before we get started, though, just want to give a quick reminder that the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast is a Patreon podcast, which means, of course, that we rely on support of listeners like yourself and watchers like yourself. Help us cover our show expenses, continue to produce more and hopefully better hockey card content, and to fund initiatives, even in a small way, to grow the hockey card hobby. You can support us through Patreon. We've partnered with them to help us do that. It starts at $5 a month, and you can join our out of $199 support level tier. I wonder how many we have left. We should check in. Does it say on there on the screen there?
71.
Okay, so getting close there. Be one of the first 199 supporters of our show. You also get access to the Hockey Cards Gongshow Discord server where you can chat with us and the rest of the crew there on a daily basis, and a very, very good group of people and collectors in our Discord. Super easy to do. You can go to our website, hockeycardsgongshow.com, and click on the Become a Patron link at the top of the page. Or if you want to just go to the Patreon website, that's fine too. patreon.com and search for Hockey Cards Gongshow. If you're listening to us on a podcast app, there's a link in the description, and there's a link in the YouTube description as well. And then finally, there's a link in our Instagram and TikTok profiles. Troy, we have one new out of 199 member since our last show, Eggman.
Nice.
That name.
I like Eggman.
Thank you for your support and welcome to the Gongshow community. with a name like Eggman, I think he'll fit in just fine. You ready with the game plan tonight, Troy?
On today's show, we begin with the almost greatest player to wear number 61, and we've heard of him. It's amazing. We will know this guy. He's relevant. Then it's off to look at our essential hobby toolkit. This is one we've kind of had in the back pocket for a while, and now it's time to release it on the world, I guess. Next, we take a look at hobby news, followed by another installment of Hobby Deep Dive. We then take a look at new product releases, and then we move on to look at some of our favorite hockey cards in the current PWCC Weekly Auction, and we end the show with personal pickups. Okay, Josh, previously we looked at the greatest NHL player that wore the number that matched our episode number. We ran through all the numbers, so now we're looking at the almost greatest NHL player to wear each number from the runners-up in the Hockey Writers' Greatest NHL Player to Wear Each Number article. Josh, the almost greatest NHL player to wear number 61, per the nominees in the Hockey Writers' Greatest NHL Player to Wear Each Number article, and selected by me, is this guy, Mark Stone, Josh. We have heard of him. We know him. I have tons of his cards because he's like my second O'Reilly, where it's
really?
Like every time I open a pack, I'm usually going to get a Mark Stone insert or a Ryan O'Reilly. I think I get more Ryan O'Reillys, but Mark Stone is a close second.
Just don't check him in the preseason, Troy. Don't do that.
Gets mad.
Very upset about it.
There were no other runners up at number 61. And as a reminder, the greatest to wear number 61 was Rick Nash.
So if you go off the Hockey Writers article, and there was obviously Rick Nash was their selection for the greatest player to wear number 61. And then you're picking up the list of alternates. So when there's only one choice, like in the case of Mark Stone, it's got to be really difficult for you.
Hey, it makes my job a lot easier. Most of these have been pretty easy. Even when there's been two or three, there's been one clear number 2 usually. Been a couple.
Now, let me ask you one more question about that.
Yeah.
You got to be honest.
Okay.
If it's 2 players you've never kind of heard of, I'm assuming you go with the one who's easier to pronounce, right?
No, I don't. I go down a list. It's like, then I go to cups, then I go to any awards, and I try to like even them out that way, or longer career, or more points, or something like that.
You have a criteria. That's good, Troy.
I do.
All right.
I have a criteria.
Back to the show.
Yeah. All right, Josh. Mark Stone, he's a forward right up north from Winnipeg, Manitoba. Stone was the 178th overall selection in the 2010 NHL entry draft by the Ottawa Senators.
Nobody wanted him, Troy.
No one wanted him. Let him fall to, I don't even know what round that is, but 178th overall. Stone has currently played in 637 regular season NHL games over a current 12-season NHL career. Stone played his first 6+ seasons with the Ottawa Senators. He has played his last 6+ seasons with the current NHL team he's with, the Vegas Golden Knights. All right, Josh, for his awards and accomplishments, one-time Stanley Cup winner just last season with Vegas.
He was super good in the playoffs, too.
Yeah, super good. And also, congratulations, Vegas, for circumventing the salary cap and burying Stone on long-term injured reserve. And then once they got to the playoffs, they activated him because guess what? Salary cap restrictions do not apply in the playoffs. So they bury him in LTIR during the season. Go get good players. Then the playoffs start, and they're like, all right, come back in.
It was a back issue too, right?
Yeah, I think so. And I think
so. The metaphor is during the regular season, he's in the wheelchair and they're pushing him around, and then the playoffs start, and he's like, I can walk.
I think Tampa Bay did some shenanigans with that too. I thought they were going to change that. I don't know if they changed that this year or what, but I digress. All right, one-time Stanley Cup winner, 2014/15 All Rookie Team selection, and he's been a one-time All-Star Game selection. For his career in the regular season, he has 212 goals, 354 assists for 566 points. Stone has made the playoffs in 8 of his NHL seasons, compiling 34 goals, 40 assists for 74 points in 95 NHL playoff games played. Best season of his NHL career from a point standpoint was his 2018-19 season, where Stone had 33 goals, 40 assists for 73 points in 77 games played with the Ottawa Senators and the Vegas Golden Knights. Stone was traded to the Vegas Golden Knights on February 25th, 2019. The more you know, Josh. I knew you wanted to know that.
Well, I was kind of curious why the Senators didn't want him.
You know what? I did read. I can't remember. I read part of it, but I was like, well, I'm not going to even talk about it. So I just kind of let it fall out of my mind.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Stone has established himself as one of the best two-way forwards in the NHL today. He has received Selke votes in 8 of his previous 11 seasons. While his defensive game is top-notch, he also has had good offensive production during his career. Stone has scored 50 or more points in 8 of his 12 seasons in the NHL. Interesting to note that during his rookie campaign in 2014-15, Stone had 26 goals, which led all rookies, and he tied Johnny Gaudreau, Johnny Hockey for most points by a rookie with 64. However, Stone finished second in the Calder Trophy voting to Florida Panthers D-man Aaron Ekblad. Stone is one of these players that has grown on me. Obviously, since I pull his cards all the time, it's like you're almost forced to like look him up and see how good he is. And as he's progressed and as like I progress in the hobby, he's seriously like one of those players I kind of watch now, and I always check in on what he's doing. He's a power forward. He can play both ends of the ice, play them well. He's been marred by injuries, Josh, missing a total of 140 games in his career due to various injuries. Thank you to my favorite new NHL injury website that I found where I can query. Yeah, well, it's not NHL. It's some guy made it. It's like NHL Viz injury. Just Google NHL Viz injury blogger or Blogspot, and it's the greatest site ever. Like it's a guy made a Tableau dashboard, and you just query and get all this stuff. But he's missed 140 games. But
sounds complicated. I'll let you go.
No, it's not complicated at all. Great career, still going. Many years left, hopefully. Hopefully his body holds up on him. Stone is currently still playing the NHL with the Vegas Golden Knights. On the season, Stone has 16 goals, 36 assists for 52 points in 53 games played. Josh, he is actually on pace to have a career high this year in points with 80. So we'll see if that holds. Yeah, pretty good I think he's 32. Pretty good having your career high late in your career.
Can I say something about him, though?
Oh, yeah, say something.
Get out there.
Go for it.
Going back to that whole preseason thing, that did bother me a little bit. And it's not that now I'm sure I can't remember the guy who it was. It was a guy who's actually was a rookie like everywhere a year or two ago, I remember. But like Hayden Hodgson or something, Hodgson or something like that.
Yeah, I just remember getting mad, and everyone's like, "Well, what do you want the guy to do? He's trying to make the team. He's like not going to let up on you."
And it was not just that he was like upset about it, because probably like one of those unwritten rules where it's like you can't hit that hard in the preseason. But he basically went off on the kid, and he's like, he sucks. He's horrible. He'll never have a career. He doesn't belong here. I don't even know why. I just thought that was kind of poor taste.
It's like he had a really bad day. That just was the last straw. Speaking of unwritten rules, since we don't get paid by them, The Athletic had an article with the 20 top unwritten rules in hockey and why they're dumb. That was the name of the article.
Really?
I didn't read it
yet.
Check that out. I haven't read it yet, but it's like saved. I know I want to read it because they're.
You think we should just invoice The Athletic at this point?
I know we should just send them because we talk about them enough. I mean, they've had to gotten like one subscription from what's talking about. All right, fun, interesting facts for our boy Mark Stone. Oh, nicknames. Stoner, obviously.
Yeah.
But then it said expressive Mark Stone. Again, this is where I think people are just messing with Hockey Reference and putting weird stuff in there. I don't know how they put them in there, but whatever. I thought it was interesting. Josh, he was named the first captain in Vegas Golden Knights history.
That'd be kind of cool to be the first captain ever for a team. I would dig that.
Definitely. Stone became the third player ever to have a hat trick in a Stanley Cup clinching victory. The other two were our favorites, Babe Dye with the 1922 Toronto St. Patrick's.
You've got his jersey, right?
Oh, yeah. Why not? I love it. And Jack, and I don't know how to say this, Darraga.
Dara?
Well, I want to say Darug, but I don't think so. I think
Darug
for the 1920 Senators. So apologies. I'm sure someone knows how to say it. I don't. Stone made his NHL debut in Game 5 of the Senators' first-round playoff series against the New York Rangers in 2012. Stone would go on to also record an assist in this game. Here's the interesting part. Stone wouldn't make his NHL regular season debut until almost a full year later on March 6th, 2013.
That is really unique about the NHL.
Yep.
That these guys make their debut in literally the most intense part of the season.
Yep.
I should say it's sort of nonsensical in a way, right? Where it's like, this is the most important game. It's do or die. Hey, there's this kid who just came from college. We throw him in there. Yeah, sure. Why not?
Go for it. See what you can do. Uh-oh. Apologies if you hear the background noise. My dog has decided to bark. It's been a while, but she's there howling away. All right,
Harley
Josh.
maybe disagrees with my take there. She's mad at me.
Yeah, Harley's not happy. All right, so that's our boy Mark Stone. Let's look at his rookie card. 2012 Upper Deck, number 239 Young Guns. If you're watching on YouTube, it is on the screen. PSA 10, pop 100 on the button. The gem rate of 48%. Last sale of this card was $120 on February 10th of 2024 via eBay, verified in Terapeak. And I found this pretty interesting, Josh. On April 8th, 2021, this card sold for $399.99 US when its pop was 34 and during all of our fun COVID stuff. So came down a little bit from that enormous high. And I'm not sure we'll ever get back there, but just interesting to see that.
Low pop at the time.
Low pop at the time, and now it's at 100.
Mark Stone, good player, good career, captain, first captain ever.
Yep.
The Vegas Golden Knights. Just do not check him in the preseason. You'll hurt your feelings after the game. Okay, you teased it in our game plan, Troy. Okay. We're going to go over our essential hobby toolkit. Why are we doing it? Because, well, we hope it's useful for everyone. And also, I felt like we need to take like a tiny break from being the Hockey Cards Bedard Gongshow for at least one episode. I mean, we could do like the whole like 24-hour news, like wall-to-wall Bedard.
We will talk about him today. He's in the show somewhere.
He's in the show, of course. But, I mean, listen, we're not crazy.
Yeah, but this is like, I almost look at this as like, this is bits and pieces we've said for the last year and a half in random spots. And now it's becoming, we're just going to put it in one spot for a toolkit.
And we get a lot of questions about this sort of stuff too. Like,
how
do you guys get this sort of information? What sort of tools do you use to figure out like what the gem rate is and stuff like that? And so, yeah, we thought we kind of share the toolkit that we use in our own collecting efforts, journey, right, to build our own PC and our own collections, and then also a lot of the tools that really make doing the research for our show possible. Of course, we're not experts on much or anything, but we do a lot of hobby research. So again, we thought we'd share some of the tools that we use, and then I think we'll publish this toolkit probably to our website, maybe like in a blog, and so people can have it as a reference material. Then, well, one thing we will add and probably mention it when we're done too. It's not like meant to be like a comprehensive, like this is every tool that exists. And it's also possible that there's certain sites or tools that we don't know about that it would be very helpful. So we're going to encourage everyone to message us, or if you're watching on YouTube, to reply in the comments if we fail to mention a resource or program or application, whatever it is that you think is vital to your enjoyment of the hobby. Then please feel free to join the conversation and let us know what it is. That being said, Troy, here's our essential hobby toolkit. We're going to kind of go a little bit like in order of maybe like what the most critical ones for us are. Probably the first one will be the most controversial. I mean, well, controversial is not the right word, but maybe people will have their own alternative to it.
Yeah.
But I'm going to make the case for, because we've used just about every one of these programs out there. The number one tool we use is Card Ladder. And if you ask like, well, why? To me, it comes down to their sales history, Troy, is so user-friendly and intuitive and easy and fast. And you can filter and sort any which way possible. It just makes it very, very quick and easy to find comps. and it's really about like the sorting, and you can sort by price, you can sort by earliest sold or last, or the date where it was last sold for most recent, or furthest away. And then, a couple other kind of big bonuses for it too is they have a ton of sources. It's not
Yep.
just eBay sales. So there's like PWCC and Golden Heritage, Mine Slabs, Alt, Leland's, a ton more. They have an app, which if you're at a card show or something like that and you need to comp, it makes it really fast to find stuff when you, or
Right.
information when you're mobile.
And I believe the app also has, you can type in, or you can also do the scanning. I think they added that functionality where if you can scan a card and it will bring up sales history now. Is it 100% perfect? No, but it's just another option if you want to try something quick.
There's a couple other kind of elements that are in sales history that maybe people don't know about, but I think make it maybe a notch ahead of everyone else. And you can kind of see it if you're watching on YouTube. We didn't point out to it with arrows or anything, but as we know, an eBay sale that isn't in Terapeak, which means that it's confirmed paid for, is not really a sale, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the trading card comp or sales report platforms or tools, however you want to put it, run off eBay sales history, which there can be completed listings that aren't paid for. For the cards, like the most critical cards or the biggest cards or the cards that are in the hockey index for Card Ladder, they actually verify every one of the sales are paid for those, and they'll have a green check mark by them. So it's not every card. It's not going to be like some new insert that just came out in a release. You're going to have to verify that eBay sale in Terapeak. But if it's a Sidney Crosby Young Gun PSA 10 and it has a green check mark, you can have confidence that that comp is paid for, and you don't have to take the extra step in Terapeak to verify that it was paid for. So it's kind of
Yeah,
neat, right?
and to take a step too, if there's not a green check mark, that doesn't mean it's not paid. It just means they haven't went out and did the additional verification. You would have to go if it's a big card. Again, we've talked about this 100 times, how it's, we don't blame any of these tools like Card Ladder, Market Movers, any of those other guys when you have to use eBay sales history on some of these unpaid things. That's the nature of how eBay does it, and it's a mess. But again, if you want to have that extra step on some of these big cards, they will have that green check mark to say they went out and actually verified it themselves.
Mm-hmm. I think the other biggest advantage for Card Ladder sales history is the length of their look back window, where you can go back 15 years or so in some cases.
Yep.
Now, is that really meaningful if you're looking up a Sidney Crosby Young Gun PSA 10 where they sell every few days? No, because any sort of reporting platform that has a look back of 6 months or a year is going to be plenty to kind of get a good idea where that card's worth. But let's say that you're interested in a Sidney Crosby from 2005, a rookie that's out of 25, maybe, where there hasn't been a sale in the past 3 years. You can use Card Ladder and go back, like I said, 10-15 years ago, and at least get an idea of, at that time, like what a card was valued at. Now, the longer you go back, the less relevant it's going to be today, but maybe the last sale was 4 years ago, and that is a piece of useful information for you. And so I really appreciate that about the length of the look back window that they have. Probably the biggest disadvantage to Card Ladder is, well, it's a paid subscription, right? You have to pay for it. I think it's like $14-15 a month. And so if you don't research the card market to the extent, like, probably nobody does as much as we do. And so for us, it's an essential tool. Then maybe it might not be worth it to you. But if you do a fair amount of comping, looking up cards, let's say you're a dealer or a seller, or you just have a big collection, or you're trying to, you're a flipper, you want to see where the market trends are. It's the tool we use more than any other, and it would be almost impossible to try to do our show without it.
Yeah, I agree.
So big fan of Card Ladder, and I just think but the biggest thing is the ease of use, and that's where, like, when I compare card ladder to Market Movers, and we have Market Movers account too, and Market Movers does some things really well. And they have some advantages over card ladder. They update their indexes way more than card ladder does. Card ladder, that's kind of another big knock, is in their hockey index they don't have a lot of recent information about or recent. I mean, I think like Cole Caulfield Young Guns is probably the most recent rookie as an example. That's not great, right? But Market Movers, I just find their user interface so clunky, and there's so much going on, and so I get overwhelmed. And maybe it's just me, but and then the other thing too that I'll point out in Terapeak is they have, most of they don't have any sort of like verified sales, so it all has to be, anything eBay has to be verified in Terapeak. That brings us to the second critical tool, and of course that is Terapeak, because it's, unfortunately, if you want an accurate comp or an accurate representation of the value of a card and you're reliant on eBay sales, you either have to start and end your search in Terapeak, or you have to, whatever research tool you use, whether it be Market Movers or Card Ladder, 130 point, eBay sales history, it has to be verified in Terapeak, because of course Terapeak only returns sales that have been paid for. We've harped on this for months. We're going to continue to do so on the show. There's a shocking and sad amount of sales that are reported every day on eBay sales history, which of course funnels its info into all these tools, and it creates a false perception in the hobby for values of cards. So buyers are paying more for cards than they should every single day. And again, I'll never stop pointing out examples at every opportunity we'll do. And we're just going to, again, use the most ridiculous example. If you search, going back to Market Movers, sales history, their sales history tool, for Connor McDavid, and sort by the highest price. If you go today, right now, you'll find the $3.3 million NHL Shield sale from October 5th, right? This in a vacuum is the biggest hockey cards, second biggest hockey card sale of all time.
Yeah.
But it's not a sale because it was never paid for.
Yeah.
It never happened. But it was on October 5th. Well, so what are we? November, December, January, 5th. We're now 4 months past that.
Yeah.
And if you go and you search for the highest priced Connor McDavid card, that's what the result that you get. You might be saying, well, everybody knows that wasn't paid for. Fine. But how many thousands of others are in there that you don't know? Maybe it's the $500 card that has a $650 comp that you would never know, if you didn't verify it, and now you're going to pay $650 instead of $500. Well, that's a $150 tax for being basically snookered by a completed listing that was never paid for. Because again, all these tools, Card Ladder, Market Movers, 130 point, their data comes from eBay sales history, which is a complete total pile of poop garbage. It's horrible. So what you have to do is you have to verify these sales through eBay's other research tool called Terapeak. And people ask, well, why don't you just use Terapeak in the first place? And there's really two reasons to that. And we'll sort of kind of show how to use it. It's not very intuitive. It's kind of clunky. And it's definitely like not like as fast as Card Ladder. And so it's almost easier from a speed standpoint, to use Card Ladder. But then the other thing too is, of course, because it's an eBay report, it only returns eBay data. So a lot of the cards that we're researching, like a Connor McDavid Cup RPA, as an example, you're going to have sales from Golden, from PWCC and all Heritage and all the other platforms. And so what a tool like Card Ladder or Market Movers, even 130 point, I think has that feature too, is it kind of gets all that data in the first place. And then if the sale that you want to reference is an eBay sale, then you have to go and verify in Terapeak, which is annoying and dumb, but you just have to do it. Okay, so one of the things we get asked about Terapeak all the time is, well, where is it? How do you use it? You just go to ebay.com, and there's in the top right corner, there's a sell tab or link. So you click on that. That gets you into your eBay seller hub, and you might have to register as a seller, even if you never plan to sell a card, in order to get access to Terapeak. So once you're in the seller hub, there's is there a link that says Terapeak? No, because why would they make it that easy? So you have to click on the link or tab that's research. This is where now you're into Terapeak, but it gets even a little bit more clunky because there's two kind of settings that you have to do before you look for a card. The first is the absolute most important one.
Yep.
And we've been bitten by it plenty of times because when you go to Terapeak, it defaults to only show data from the site that you use from your native country. For some reason, and I'm sure there's a good reason, I just don't know why they did it. eBay has different domains for just about every country.
Yeah.
So here in the United States, it's ebay.com. If you're in Canada, it's ebay.ca. If you're in Germany, it's ebay.de.
Yeah, it's tax purposes. They all do it, like Amazon.ca.
Sure.
And,
so you have to go to that drop down where it says listing site. And at the very bottom, there's a option for all sites. So that will return data. And where it's most important is US and Canada, because that's where most of the hockey cards are bought and sold. But if you're like in the US and you have it just on ebay.com, it won't show you any sale from Canada. And then if you're in ebay.ca and you don't change it, it won't show you any sale from the US. Then you have to go and you have to set your look back window. Now, Terapeak is limited to 3 years. I think it's better. I think eBay sales history might be 2 years. So if you get that extra year with Terapeak too, but you have to you can set that look back window, I think, from a week to 3 years. By default, I usually just set it to 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so if you come up with a sale and it's a comp that you find 130 pointer in Card Ladder and you need to verify, you need to do that same search in Terapeak. And if it's there, it was paid for. If it's not, it wasn't. And welcome to our life where we do this about 50 times a day. But any other Terapeak kind of tips?
No, it's funny that you showed how to get there. I actually go in through a different way, but your way was so much easier. I'm not even going to talk about mine or show mine because it's kind of ridiculous the way I went into it.
Well, they don't make it intuitive.
No, I could say I used to the overview. So if we go back to this view where you go sell tab, and then I would always go to the overview. And then at the way bottom, there's a thing that says research tools. And I would go to Terapeak because I think I got used to seeing what I sold or how much I've sold. And then I just kept going down. But research tab, way easier, a little bit more intuitive than the way I was doing it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. The next kind of category, there's 3 basic tools that we use a lot that have to do with population count and gem rate. And it mainly is for young guns and cards that are numbered to 99 or 199, 249, where especially looking at like value trends and trying to understand rarity, where the population count and gem rate really matter. The easiest way to find the pop count of a card, like a PSA card, is to use the certification number, which you'll find in the lower right corner of the label of the card. And if you go to Google and just search PSA CERT, CERT, look up, it takes you right to the PSA CERT verification site where you just type in that number and then you hit verify and it takes you to, and it shows you the pop count and you can kind of drill in then and see all the other grades for that card too. It's just, I think it's the quickest way to see.
I'm gonna show you a different way. This is not a different way. This is saying I don't know a cert number, and I'm just sitting here going, I wonder what Jack Hughes's young gun pop count is. You can always do PSA pop report by player in Google, and then just do a player search, and then player name. And here's the trick: you got to put it in quotes, and then you got to do hockey cards. So this is if you don't have the certification number. Oh geez, and there's there's a Jack Hughes from whatever, but then you scroll down and just find the biggest one, and it's gonna.
You can look up by set too, but that cert number is the most direct way. So actually, what I will do, Troy, because entering the cert number is the most direct way, I will go like in Card Ladder and find a PSA 10 and just pull a cert number
Oh yeah,
and
or go to eBay and find one and do the
or
same
go to
thing.
eBay and get into it that way. There's the same sort of site exists for Beckett too, where again you just go to Google, search for BGS cert lookup, and there's a certification verification site there too, where you enter in that cert number from the BGS label there too.
Do you have to put all the zeros in? This
Yeah,
example.
yeah.
No, at BGS, it would be like you'd have to. They need 2 zeros or something.
Sometimes though, like you're looking for more aggregate data or comprehensive data, whether it be on a card or a set, or you just want maybe data on the grading companies. You're trying to figure out, do I want to use PSA or Beckett, or is SGC making progress? What about CGC? That's where you use like gemrate.com, because they will have sort of the best overall aggregate data for you to use. The one thing though that I found, just as a FYI, on a lot of their stuff, like the search functionality gets funky. Troy, you would know this from what you do professionally. You have to enter the fields exact.
Yeah.
Like there's no sort of, so if, for instance, like if you want to look up the Kirill Kaprizov Young Gun PSA 10, sort of the over time how the population trend has been. If the set was 2020-21, I can't remember which one it is, but only one of those works. You either have to enter 2020
Yeah.
or you have to enter 2020-21. What is that called? Like when the field isn't intuitive enough to,
No,
where
I
it's
don't
so
know.
strict.
I always think of Boolean, but Boolean's not what I'm looking for. I don't know what it's
Yeah.
called.
So they need to improve that, and it can be a little frustrating there. But that's the only really good source to, like I said, if you want to see the trend value over time, and which especially too if you're in the game of maybe wanting to invest in a young guns and trying to figure out what the right time is, you want to see kind of what that pop trend is doing. The next category is a tool you probably use more than me, but I'm using it more and more, and that's TCDB, Trading Card Database. There's a lot of things you can do here that are just easier than on any other site. So
Mhm.
if you want to see like a specific player, you want to see, well, how many cards does this player have? What are the maybe most different options that I would have for that player all in one spot? You can do a player search. Where I find TCDB really useful, Troy, is especially on older sets where the checklist is not on like Beckett's site or
Yep.
Cardboard Connection. Let's say like mid 90s hockey sets. If I want to see what inserts were in 1998 Bowman's Best,
Mhm.
it's an awesome resource to use to very quickly be able to do that. What else do you use TCDB for, though?
I use it for everything. Old checklist, insert. Because here I'm showing it on screen. So if I go to browse hockey sets, and let's just give a sneak preview of something we're going to look at in a little bit. If I go to 2008 O-Pee-Chee, and I want to see all the inserts and parallels. I'm probably going a little fast. Sorry. So you go to the site, and they'll have this insert and related sets link. So if you're listening, there's an insert and related sets link. You hit that, and now you can find all the inserts and every parallel that's in there. And a lot of the times they have pictures. That's what the cool thing is. And then even if you get a little crazier, there'll be overviews on the left-hand side. You can find commentary. I've used it just because me and Josh were having a discussion once about, we asked the question, how many autographs do you think Wayne Gretzky has signed on hockey cards in his life? Well, guess what? I'm halfway through it. I'm at about 21,000 right now. So I'm just going to double it for the sake of argument, and we're going to say about 40 to 50,000. And I got all that
Different
information
cards.
from TCDB because I can pull every Gretzky autograph card and then look at the print run and figure it out. But yeah, I use TCDB all the time. And they actually have, I don't know, I don't use it, but you can put your collection here. You can see up top here, it says your collection 0. But they have a way for you to like upload your collection in here if that's something you want to do. I think it has a pricing feature, but I don't think it's very accurate. But yeah, I love TCDB.
Yeah. next category would be like checklists. And I think this is probably the most commonly known. We typically use Beckett or Cardboard Connection, use whichever one you want. Cardboard Connections had issues, but if you don't know, like we still get a lot of like, is this card on the checklist question? All you got to do is go to Google, enter the set, and be as descriptive as possible. So, like in the example we're showing on YouTube, I entered in 2023-24 Upper Deck Series 1 checklist. And then the first two search results are Cardboard Connection and Beckett. Either one works. And you can use whichever one is probably the user face that you're more comfortable with. I did forget a tool that I just want to mention we won't have a visual for that I wanted to add. And I'm not sure how many people know about Quant Hockey.
Oh, I can bring it up.
QUANTHOCKY. It's one of the best sites that exists for being able to have searchable and sortable real-time on-ice performance data. So if you want to find out who scored the most goals in the last 5 games, you can do it in 2 seconds with Quant Hockey, whether it be for skater, forwards, goalies, defensemen. So a lot of times, like when you'll hear us reference on the show, in the last 5 games played, this player has 4 goals, 3 assists for 7 points. We find a lot of that information on Quant Hockey.
Yeah.
If you're just like a NHL stat geek, probably the best site that I've found.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, I use Hockey Reference, I think a little more than you, but Quant Hockey is definitely updated quicker. Hockey Reference will always be a day behind. But another thing, I actually have a subscription. If you're watching on YouTube, it's called StatHead Hockey. And this you can do some crazy lookups here now. I'm not logged in. I'm not going to log in, but man, you can find goals by specific games. I mean, you can get in the very fine minutia, and I've actually referenced it a couple times on the show where I've actually done that. So, oh my gosh, Josh, I just gave away the end of the show. That is sad.
Yeah. Way to go, Troy. All right, and then I'll let you talk about the last tool.
Yeah.
That because you use it way more than I do.
Last tool that I use, if you're watching on YouTube, and it's got a picture of it, or I got the website up. It's called WaxStat, WaxStat.com. And this is the best site I found for finding pricing. Now, I know this is a little tiny, but if you go to that site, and you can see here, it's got like Upper Deck Clear Cut Hockey Hobby Box, which just came out. And I can even see what the trend is over the last 7 days. But you can search whatever you want. Let's say we do 23-24 Upper Deck Series 1 Hockey. And it should bring up some stuff, tins, hobby boxes. So let's look at the hobby box. And then you can see all the different retailers that they track and what the price is. If it's sometimes they'll say out of stock. That's how I knew. I was on here when I saw Dave and Adams and Steel City were out of O-Pee-Chee. And then if you actually click on, like it says Steel City has this, you can click on it. And then you can see all the price history at Steel City. You can actually go to Steel City. It's pretty slick. It's really slick. Once you get it maybe not the most user-friendly, but once you start messing around, it's pretty easy to figure out. It's a really useful tool to track price history.
Is that a newer site?
It's been around. I've talked to the guy. It's been it's getting bigger and bigger. And if you see down here on the bottom right, if you have it on your phone, there's actually a barcode scanner. So if you hit that, you can scan a hobby box or whatever at a store, and it'll bring up the price history of it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. Like once
cool.
You get messing around with it, it's pretty cool.
So that's it. Those are the tools that we use just about every day, whether it be, again, in our own collecting adventures or in using as tools to help create our show. So very happy that we decided to share those. And like we started with, if there's other tools that you guys think are awesome that we should be using or other people should know about, go ahead and message us and leave those in the comments as well. All right, Trey, we got to make a quick mention for Gongshow partner sponsor Slab Sharks. We are super thankful to them for their support of our show. Current Slab Sharks Weekly Auction ends tonight. Over 1,500 cards in this week's auctions, and they just keep getting better and better. There's some monsters in this week's auction that, of course, you're not going to want to miss out on. So head to slabsharks.com to view all the cards and to place your bids. If you miss the auction, no big deal, because as soon as one ends, the next auction basically begins. And of course, you can count on great hockey cards in their auctions every single week. And if you're a Canadian hockey cards collector thinking about selling your cards, I'm going to go with a little bit different take today. I'm going to say here's why you would never, ever, ever want to consider Slab Sharks. Right? If you fall into this category, if you love tedious work that takes all the fun of selling your cards, don't consider Slab Sharks. Like, let's say you like fighting to get decent lighting, figuring out an angle where there's no glare or shadows in your sports card photos. Love taking photos of the front end. Well, Troy was a card back guy, so I'm sure he likes taking photos of backs. Figuring out how to use After Effects on your phone to make them look decent, then you probably wouldn't like Slab Sharks because they just take the photo for you and make it easy. If you love endlessly filling out forms that seem that's your thing, maybe one of your favorite pastimes, you wouldn't like Slab Sharks. If you love answering weird questions from potential buyers at 2:30 in the morning, Troy, you probably wouldn't enjoy working with Slab Sharks. Maybe you really like sending messages to winners, begging them to pay for the auction that they just won. Or maybe the highlight of your day is shipping cards, especially figuring out a way to ship between the US and Canada without spending about $3,000 per package. You probably wouldn't want to consider Slab Sharks. And then lastly, if you're sad because all the work's done, but then 5 days later, a buyer pops back up with a major issue that threatens your sale, and you get to do a whole bunch of more work and have a whole bunch more stress. I guess if all that sounds fun, then Slab Sharks isn't for you. But Troy, if you are like 99.99% of all your human beings who hates all that stuff, thinks that that sucks the joy out of the hobby, then just let Slab Sharks do it for you. They're going to get your cards in these big auctions in front of tons of people. They're going to take all the hassle out of it. You just ship them your card or give it to them at a card show and watch a hockey game and wait to get paid or do something like that. And then if you have like a Connor Bedard card, why not get a 98% payout rate instead of having to do all that crappy stuff yourself and paying 6 times that in fees? That's no fun. So do no work, get paid more. It's kind of a no-brainer, especially when it comes to Bedard. So for complete consignment information and payout rates, because it does vary per, level of card, visit slabsharks.com. You can also start consigning your cards with them today. Hobby news.
Ooh, hobby news. I like it. Let's go.
Oh, it's our Bedard quota time, Troy.
Yep.
Got to do it. Connor Bedard is going to make it back to games as early as next week, Troy. Right at about the 6-week mark. Remember, the original injury timeline was 6 to 8 weeks. I looked ahead. Next week, the Blackhawks have game on Monday, February 19th against Carolina. Then Wednesday, February 21st against Gritty and the Flyers. Funny, Troy, about 2 weeks before Series 2 is released. Is the NHL scripted now too, like the NFL?
It's funny you said Gritty because we just got a text from a good friend of the show, and he will no longer say my name because I made him mad last episode by claiming I like Bowie better than Gritty.
Well, you dug your own grave.
I did. There. I did. I stand by it for now.
Ooh, shots fired. So if this is the correct timeline, Chicago will either have like 26 or 27 games remaining in the 2023-24 NHL season when Bedard comes back. He's played 39 games so far, so in theory, he could get in 65, 66 games this season. And of course, in the 39 games he's already played, he's got 15 goals, 18 assists for 33 points. He's missed 13 games so far with the broken jaw since suffering on January 5th. Well, it seems like longer than that, doesn't it? Just 13 games.
Well, yeah, I was thinking about it the other day. It's like, man, it does seem like he's been gone forever. Mm-hmm. That All-Star break helps, I guess. The bye week or whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Still hanging on for dear life in the rookie scoring lead, Troy. He is now tied for points with Minnesota Wild superstar rookie defenseman Brock Faber, both at 33 points. And Bedard still has a 1-goal lead over the Wild's other good rookie, Marco Rossi. Bedard has 15 goals, Rossi has 14. Apparently, too, Bedard's been on the ice since about a week after his surgery, skating. And every article you read, right, he's pushing to get back. He's pushing to get back. So I guess you'd have to presume he'll be in decent shape when he returns. Now, given the fact he's been skating for 5 weeks still, you still expecting a little bit of rust, maybe a few games for him to get going, or do you think he'll pick it up right where he left off?
Nope. I bet there'll be a couple games of rust, but we'll see. I'm curious. Yeah, I am curious how he looks right away, but he's one of those guys. He'll get right back into it and probably start scoring. He'll probably score a hat trick first game just to show me how wrong I am.
Yeah. Next story, Troy. Does it get any bigger than this? There's a pretty big Gretzky rookie that just went up for sale yesterday on February 13th. And we remind people all the time about the PWCC fixed price marketplace, and that's nothing to sneeze at. There's some pretty awesome hockey cards. Well, how about this new listing? Is this one good, Troy? A 1979 Topps Wayne Gretzky PSA 10, one of two. There's 4 total Gretzky PSA 10s. There's 2 O-Pee-Chee and 2 Topps. This is one of the 2 Topps. Was just listed for sale for a cool $1.8 million.
Nice.
Offers accepted, I guess. We got to shout out Charles99 on Instagram he hit up the Gongshow tip line, Troy. Let us know.
Yep.
Always open. So day or night. Now, I think, Troy, this is a huge test how committed you are to the show. It would help our ratings a lot right now if you smash that buy it now button live when we're recording. Bring her home, Troy.
Yep.
Bring Wayne.
I'd be on the street. Basement. I'd be on the street in about 5 minutes if I bought this. I don't know how I'd afford it.
Well, the funny thing is, let's say you had the money, just knowing your personality, you would be terrified of owning this card.
I know. I'd be like, what am I going to do with it? I'm not going to show it off.
No place that you would think it would save.
No.
I think it would give you a lot of anxiety to own. Like, you'd be relieved eventually to get rid of it. It's a big deal, though, right? I mean, one of the 4 most valuable hockey cards on earth is put up for sale. Now, this exact card, Troy, sold in August of 2022 for $1.2 million. That was the only recorded public sale for this exact copy. One of the 2 PSA 10 Topps. And we can find a card ladder, which of course goes back a long time. It's also tried the most recent sale for any of the 4 Gretzky rookie PSA 10s, of course, between Topps and O-Pee-Chee to sell. Now, because it's a fixed price listing, other than 1.8 million, you don't know like maybe what the intention of the seller is here or how serious they are. Maybe they just threw out a big number like that and are like, well, if somebody buys it, they do. But I guess you have no way of knowing how motivated they are. It's not like they put it up for auction where it's for sure going to sell. But I do have some questions, though, Troy, that the hobby needs you to answer. Do you think it's important for the perception of the hobby market and the health of the hobby that if this card sells, it sells for more than the 1.2 million, it lasts sold?
I think so, but man, being an August of 22 sale, I always worry about that time frame. But I think so. I'm gonna say yes. I would like to see it go for a little more.
Me too. I think 1.4, even 1.3 would be a win. Now, that 1.8 million too does include buyer premium. So you got to understand that as well. But that's what always is reported as the sale amount.
Yep.
So maybe distinction without a difference. Here's the other really interesting question about this to me. Does this impact the case of O-Pee-Chee, the sealed case at Heritage, which coincidence, so they're asking 1.8 million with buyer's premium. That bid is currently at $2,010,000. In my mind, Troy, if I have roughly $2 million to spend on hockey cards, I'm going for the sure thing. I'm going for the PSA 10 Topps versus the sealed case, where most people that know a lot about that 1979 set, whether it be Topps or O-Pee-Chee, will guarantee with almost anything short of their life that there is not even close to a PSA 10, because those cards had so many print issues.
Yep.
What's the smarter buy here? It's this card, right?
I would rather have the card. I don't even want to mess around with the case just because I would be afraid to open it, but then I would open it and be mad that I opened it. But I guess if you're really, really like sometimes, like we say, we're O-Pee-Chee snobs at times. Maybe if you really want O-Pee-Chee, that's your play and you buy the case of O-Pee-Chee. But if I had this much money, I'm just getting the PSA 10, calling it good. I don't care if it's a tops at this point. I'm just calling it good and throwing it in my display case and be nervous the rest of my life.
Well, it's a lot cooler to show off too than your cardboard box that has your 40 whatever how many wax boxes were in that.
Yeah.
I also think too that this might sell because if there's this many people that can throw a couple $1,000,000 right at a case of O-Pee-Chee, then there's people that have $2,000,000 to this because you can. It's got to be floating in somebody's mind that I don't know when any of these 4 are coming up for sale again. And I'm also becoming, and this is just my own stupid theory, Troy. So take it or leave it. More and more convinced that there's no way PSA will ever grade another Gretzky a 10. I'm totally buying into the whole pop control thing.
Yeah, maybe.
Because that would be the big risk, right? Of spending a lot of money is what if there's 4 of these 4 years from now?
I think 4 of them get graded. All of a sudden you're just whoops.
Huge deal, though. This does not happen very often, of course. And so we're going to be following this one for sure. Now, last chance. You want to hit that buy now button, Troy, and help the show out a little bit?
No, not yet. Not yet. I can do it right here because this is just a screenshot. So I'll just pretend.
It's not working.
It's not working. I'm trying, man. I'm trying. I don't know.
Any other closing thoughts on the Topps Gretzky PSA 10 up for sale in the PWCC fixed price marketplace?
Cool card. Wish I could buy it.
Hobby Deep Dive, Troy. Back for another edition of Hobby Deep Dive. I lied. Got to start out. I teased we were going to come back with Rookie Deep Dive a couple of shows ago, but then kind of went through the timeline, rethought a bunch of things. Honestly, if I'm being like really candid, it's for so long I was thinking that like Adam Fantilli and Logan Cooley were going to be in Series 2, but now they're not. And so that the Series 2 Young Guns checklist is going to be a little bit more watered down than we thought.
Bedard again or what?
Yeah, Bedard. We've never done a hobby. I mean, at this point, every show is about Bedard. So do we need to do a...
Oh, we didn't do a rookie deep dive on Bedard?
Oh,
I thought you did. Never mind.
Yeah. Maybe doing his cousin Gavin McKenna. That's who everyone keeps messaging us on right now.
Go.
Okay, so we're going to do Hobby Deep Dive again. Now, before we dig into this week's candidates, we got to do our recap. We've done 4 so far. Elias Pettersson, Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar, and Leon Draisaitl. So I presented these 4 candidates in an Instagram poll a couple days ago, Troy. Nikita Kucherov, again, he only has like 100 points on the season already, but like 90 or something like that. Crazy. Quinn Hughes, Jack's brother, David Pastrnak, and Jason Robertson. It was I think the closest vote we had. It went back and forth. Now, Quinn Hughes won with 34% of the vote, followed by David Pastrnak with 32%. Then J-Rob and Nikita Kucherov each had 17%. At one point, because I actually tried like if somebody has like a 10-point or percentage point leads, maybe I'll start working ahead a little bit. And there was a point where I was like, well, I'm going to go check the vote and maybe work on the intro or something like that, Troy. And it was going back and forth for like 6 hours, like between Pasta and Quinn Hughes. One was jumping in front of the other, but Quinn Hughes ended up pulling ahead and just by a handful of votes kind of took the victory. So that makes this week's Hobby Deep Dive subject Quinn Hughes, the oldest Hughes between the 3 Hughes brothers and the one sort of Hughes brother, Jack Quinn. Quinn Hughes, Troy, is a 24-year-old defenseman for the Vancouver Canucks. Now, there's like hockey families, and then there's hockey families. The Hughes family, Troy, is a hockey family. So Quinn is one of 3 brothers currently playing in the NHL. Of course, Jack and Luke play for the New Jersey Devils. His dad was the director of player development for your Toronto Maple Leafs. And his mom, Ellen Weinberg Hughes, played for the U.S. women's national team. Everybody was really good at hockey. Quinn was born in Orlando, started playing hockey or youth hockey when his family lived. I think his dad working in the NHL, moved around a lot, played hockey in Boston a little bit. And then they moved to Toronto when his dad took the job with the Leafs when Quinn was 7. And kind of that's where his formative youth hockey years were. By 13, he was playing defense full time. Played in the GTHL, you hear a lot about even here in the US. Was a Greater Toronto Hockey League for the Toronto Marlboros. We're in 2014-15, scored 13 goals, 31 assists, 44 points, 74 games played. Those are kind of cool jerseys. Don't you like those, Troy?
I do like those. I like how he's like looks the same too. They got the same look on his face.
Yeah.
That stick too, that old Bauer Vapor.
There you go. Now, he had the option to play either in the OHL or to go back to the States to the U.S. National Development Program, and he chose the UNDP to play in the U.S. So he spent the 2015-16 seasons in the U.S. National Development Program. They just got the same look. He does have a very distinctive look, even with his helmet on.
Yep.
You can tell who it is. Now, when he was at the U.S. National Development Program, pretty good roommate, Troy, Brady Tkachuk.
There you go.
That's not bad, huh? In his second season there, in their U18 schedule, he had 10 goals, 43 assists for 53 points in 65 games played. He then committed to the University of Michigan and started there as a freshman in 2017-18. Youngest NCAA hockey player that year at 17 years old. Very similar to Macklin Celebrini right now as the presumptive number 1 pick in the summer's draft, who's currently at Boston. Is he at Boston College or Boston University?
I never know which one he's at.
I think he's at Boston University. Playing really well. He's just 17 as well.
Yeah, Boston University.
Yeah. Quinn Hughes finished his freshman season at Michigan with 5 goals, 24 assists for 29 points in 37 games played. Led all Big Ten freshmen in assists. Also the most assists by a freshman in Michigan program history. Was named to the All Big Ten All-Freshman team and the All Big Ten second team. Now that summer of 2018, Quinn was drafted 7th overall in the first round, betrayed by your Vancouver Canucks. I love to do this. My favorite thing. Here's the players that are taken ahead of it. So we're going to go through one by one, and we're going to each say if that was the right pick or we would have taken, now hindsight being 2020, should have taken Quinn Hughes. Kind of a tough one. And number 1, Rasmus Dahlin. I'd probably have Hughes over him though, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I'd take him. I'd take Hughes.
Number 2 pick that in the 2018 NHL entry draft, Andrei Svechnikov.
Hughes.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards Hughes. Third one's easy. It's, what is it? Jesperi
Hughes.
Hughes. Number 4, this is the toughest one. You might lose another fan of the show and Loud Collector if you choose wrong here. Brady Tkachuk.
I was thinking, I saw this option, and what's crazy is they have about the same amount of points.
Both captains at a very young age.
Both captains. One's a D. I mean, to have a D with the same amount of points as a forward, does that hold a little more weight? Not as many goals, obviously.
So are you saying we should say goodbye to Phil right now? Is that take a moment?
I don't know, man. I probably, you know what? I'm going to go Brady Tkachuk. Let's go Brady. I want the physical of this. I want the energy. I'm going to go with Brady.
This one's tough.
I know. This was not easy.
Yeah, I might lean Hughes. Sorry, Phil. I do like Brady Tkachuk a lot, though. 5th and 6th picks were easy peasy. Barrett Hayton, you're going to take Hughes. And then Philippe Zadina, you're going to take Hughes as well.
Yeah.
After the draft, though, Hughes did decide to go back to Michigan for his sophomore season, 2018-19. Scored 5 goals, added 28 assists for 33 points in 32 games played. Was named All Big Ten first team. Was a Hobey Baker finalist as well. I had to this is like totally unnecessary, but you'll know why I threw it in. Troy, following a 4-1 loss to the Minnesota Golden Gophers during the college postseason.
So the Gophers actually beat someone in an important game. That's cool.
Yeah, knocked him out of college hockey, Troy. He then signed his 3-year entry-level contract with the Nucks, made his NHL debut on March 28th, 2019, and recorded his first NHL point on an assist to Burnsville, Minnesota's own Brock Besser.
I was just going to say, I'm like, that looks like Brock Besser.
Yeah, there you go. That's actually his first point.
Actual picture. Nice.
We're so obnoxious, we got to throw in the Burnsville, Minnesota.
Well, you want even more obnoxious? Besser's, I think it might be a nephew, plays in Farmington, if I remember right.
Oh, yeah. There we go. The next season, Hughes made the Canucks team out of camp and finished the 2019-20 season with 8 goals, 45 assists for 53 points in 68 games played. You got to remember, though, 2019-20 season was cut short due to the pandemic on March 12th, 2020. So he did finish that year leading all rookies in the NHL in points. Just the third defenseman tried ever to do this in the modern era. Bobby Orr and Brian Leetch are the other two. Did he win the Calder, though? Nope. Lost to Cale Makar. Did play in the All-Star game, though, which is kind of cool for a rookie. Then, prior to the 2020-22 season, he signed a 6-year, $47.1 million contract, which looks like a steal as of right now. That's, sometimes long-term contracts bite you as a team.
Yep.
Other times they, think if he had to sign an agreement today, it'd be the average annual value would be a lot higher. That season, he became the fastest Canucks defenseman to ever reach 100 career points. He finished 2021-22 career best 68 points in 76 games played. Then last season, he took another step forward. Troy has 76 points in 78 games played. He also, last year, I think this is kind of cool, became the fastest defenseman in NHL history to record 200 assists in his first 263 games. 1 game quicker than Brian Leetch.
Nice.
Yeah. Prior to this season, Hughes was named the 15th captain in Vancouver Canucks history, also making him the youngest active captain in the NHL at 23 years old. Kind of stole that from our lovely French-speaking Nick Suzuki we talked about last show.
Yep.
He's the first defenseman to wear the C for Vancouver in more than 30 years. So far in 2023-24, he has 12 goals, which is already a career high, 54 assists for 66 points in only 54 games played. That's a 1.22 point per game average this year. He's having a breakthrough year for sure, kind of creeping up into Makar territory, I think, in the hobby. He just seems like he's in that Makar shadow. Like, I thought it was like really interesting that he's a Hobie Baker finalist, loses to Cale Makar.
Yeah.
He has more points than Makar in 2019-20 and loses the Calder Trophy to Makar. All right, let's dig into his hobby market a little bit. So Quinn Hughes is a 2019-20 Young Guns PSA 10 pop, 2,290, 64% gem rate. Last sold for $168 on February 12th. Down 20% in the past 2 weeks, 30% in the past month. It really spiked, though. Like, it hit 301 on November 21st. So it's kind of trailing down.
This pops out. It's crazy high. Move on. Find something else.
Yeah. In January of 2024, so last month, Quinn Hughes finished ranked 18th in our top 25 rankings of players with the most cards sold for the month. He had 994 cards sold. If you look at last year, for all of 2023, he finished ranked 29th. So his sales are creeping up as far as player rankings go. 29th last year for most cards sold. And then we're going to end our kind of Quinn Hughes hobby deep dive info and hobby info with this top 5 card sales to date. Now, there's actually a card that I'm really can't wait to talk to you about here too, because I'm kind of shocked it isn't his number 1 sale. So the 5th highest sale of a Quinn Hughes card to date is a 2019-20 Upper Deck Young Guns High Gloss, which is out of 10, of course, raw. So for $2,905 April 2021. No surprise there.
Nope.
Number 4 is a 2019-20 The Cup Dual Auto Rookie Marks with Brother Jack. RPA for both Jack Hughes and Quinn Hughes, 101. Sold for $2,999 US in March of 2021. I don't know how this isn't the highest Quinn Hughes card sale.
Well, I'm wondering, I don't know. It's like if you're a fan of just one of them, maybe you don't want both of them on the same card. I mean, you'd almost have to be a fan of the family, right?
Yeah.
His parents probably bought this. Or their parents.
The top three sales are all basically the same card. It's his 2019-20 Cup RPA at a 99. Ironically, the third highest sale, I think, has the best patch. That sold for $3,217 US in March of 2021. The number 2 sale was $3,500 in February of 2021. I mean, the 3 sale is a way better patch than that, right?
Yeah, way better.
And then the number 1 was $3,550, so $50 more than the number 2 sale in February of 2021. But when you look back and if you paid attention to all 5 of these sales, they were all in 2021.
Yeah.
And given how he's kind of he's had I would call it then maybe like a minor hobby breakthrough, because while his young guns kind of surged and the sales volume is up, we're not seeing Troy like a lot of high end sales for Quinn Hughes yet this year. Like where Jack Hughes had the big run. I mean, he was having like $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 sales. We've had who else? Caulfield in the past years had some a bunch of, maybe $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 sales. It's like 1,500 has been tops what people have been spending on Quinn Hughes cards now. And so that kind of brings me to maybe we'll call it like the $64,000 hobby question about Quinn Hughes is to me, it's the whole Makar thing, right?
Yeah.
And I want to get your input on all this in a second, but is there room for another superstar hobby elite defenseman right now? Is he the Leon Draisaitl of defensemen if Makar is the McDavid of defensemen? What does Quinn Hughes need to do to maybe firmly get in that Makar camp? Does he need like a deep playoff run? Now Vancouver could win the Stanley Cup. They're awesome this year. Does he need to win some Calder trophies? Does he need to get over 100 points?
How's he going to? I'm going to make fun of you, but how does he win some more Calders?
Why? What did I do?
Calder's Rookie of the Year. you only got one shot at that.
Oh, Norris Trophy.
Norris Trophy. All right. Norris Trophy.
Yeah.
That's a Troy mistake right there.
That's a Troy mistake. Oh, so honored. Yeah. How did we need to win some Norris trophies? Thank you for pointing that out. I don't know. What needs to happen?
Oh, I think probably a lot of those have to happen, because if you look at it, and I just had to look this up quick, I think Makar has less games played than Hughes, but as a point per game D-man has a lot more goals. I think 40 or so more goals than Hughes. So Makar's definitely got him on the stats thing. And that I feel like the hype like that we're seeing now with Hughes and picking up was nowhere near the hype that with Makar when he was going nuts. Because it was Bobby Orr this, Bobby Orr that. And I think that's really hard. That's going to be a really hard thing to overcome. And Makar's going to have that. What do you want to call it? I want to call it like, even if he struggles, he's still gonna have that aura from that past, how we were talking about him. He's still playing great. But yeah. I think he's going to need some Norrises and 100 points probably just to get in that conversation that he's better than Makar. But I think they're closer than maybe we think at times.
I think that's a good way of putting it, right? Because with Makar, it's like the Orr comparison.
Yeah.
And with Hughes, it's the Makar comparison.
Yeah.
So it just shows you sort of what the pecking order is there. The other thing that you could, and I honestly we've been doing this for almost 2 years now. We've heard a number of people mention kind of like the Vancouver hobby thing, or maybe just the Vancouver hockey thing in general. And I'll admit, I don't really understand what it is or what makes it where. Have you heard like there's not like a big like collecting base for the team, or I don't know. We have tons of listeners and watchers in Vancouver.
Yeah.
So
maybe it's too nice outside, and they live in a gorgeous part of the country, so they just go outside all the time and don't.
They're always at I want to go skiing in Whistler.
Yeah.
Well, there's our hobby deep dive on Quinn Hughes. Do you think we learned anything or no?
Oh yeah, I learn everything. I learn something every time. I love going through the top 5 cards.
I still can't believe that dual RPA 101. Yeah, I think if that card went up for sale today,
I think it'd be big time
because of the whole Jack Hughes thing. It would go for a lot more. We're gonna switch new product releases.
Uh-oh.
Troy, you don't have to call me a genius.
Grab your wallets, everyone. Grab your wallets.
And the least shocking news ever. 2023-24 O-Pee-Chee is back in stock in Dave and Adams with a healthy 44% price increase, Troy, just about a week after its release. Remember, at the time of release, it was $90. It's for sale right now on Dave and Adams for $129.95. At the time I did my research, it was still sold out at Steel City and Blowout here in the US. In Canada, I did find it in stock at Clouts and Chara for 150 Canadian. Same price at 401 Games. So it looks like a little bit better deal in Canada. Last 4 or 5 eBay sales have been in the 130, 140 range. So I guess makes sense. But are we alive, Troy? Is this real? Are we in the Matrix? Is this a simulation? What's happening? O-Pee-Chee paper is $130 a box.
It stinks. I mean, I know why. I know why it is, but it stinks because this is the fun product that's supposed to be cheap. Kids rip it. Families rip it. I get why. I mean, Bedard's a machine all his own. We're seeing the prices that those cards, his marquee rookies, are going for. I get it. It stinks. I don't like it.
On the same side, Dave and Adams, Troy, you can get a box right now, 2021-22 O-Pee-Chee Hobby for $29.95.
Are you really? I'm gonna order one. How much? What year? 21-22?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm in. I'm gonna order a box.
$29.95.
Yep, I'm ordering.
2023-24 is $100 more a box right now. Now 2020 O-Pee-Chee Hobby is even 75 US. So that has what Stutzla, Kaprizov, J-Rob, Ottinger, all those rookies. Swayman. No, Swayman's 2021. Now, do you think it's done, Troy? Are you expecting this to sell out in a few days and we'll be on next Thursday's show talking about it being $175 or do you think this is it?
I think it'll jump again. I think 149 is where it tops out.
That's crazy. But if you're gonna have $300 flagship boxes too, I suppose it makes sense.
Well, do you want to? I don't know if this is jumping the gun, but do you want to say what we've seen for another new release that might be coming out in the future?
We're gonna talk about that next show. We're gonna talk about
cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger. Teaser.
Tune in.
Come back. Tune in. The other thing I did want to talk about, though, is what came out today. We're recording on Wednesday. 2022-23 Clear Cut is out. Watched a number of case breaks today. And honestly, it seems almost like we expected. So we talked about it a couple shows ago.
Mm-hmm.
Some really cool big cards I saw get pulled and lots of duds. I mean, it's a gambler's. It's a high risk, high reward rip. We kind of knew that. We talked about it already. The one thing we did miss, though, in our checklist review is that in what I'll call a savvy move, Troy, Upper Deck snuck in young Connor Bedard somehow into the dual 2022-23, 2021-22 release of Clear Cut. It's a Pride of Canada redemption. And I don't say this to knock them because I actually think it's probably smart. It has to be out of the fear that nobody's going to buy any product right now that doesn't have Connor Bedard on the checklist. So let's throw in a redemption and give, whether it be breakers or hobby shops, the ability to say, oh, Connor Bedard's in there. Oh, really? Okay, I'll take a box. What's interesting, though, when you look at the checklist, for these Pride of Canada autos, I think they're all numbered out as 25, but there's no serial number for Bedard.
Really? Yeah, that's interesting.
So I don't know if there's one. I don't know if there's 100. Who knows?
But, well, let's think about that. That's probably the only redemption I would ever be happy about getting out of this box. Because that's, you talk about disappointment. You get one card, one box, you open it, and it's a redemption. And if it's not for someone huge, that's just a kick in the teeth.
Like we said, though, this is a good product to buy singles on the secondary market or get into breaks. It's a very risky proposition going and buying a single box. For every box that had a Patrick Waugh auto, there would be like 6 or 7 boxes of $5 cards.
Yeah.
Right. So you're overwhelming the odds, or you're going to get killed on the ROI. I know you might get a cool card that you like. Listen, it's not always about ROI, but why not buy that card for $12 on eBay rather than $90 in the box or whatever it is. Now, we did open a box and results went just about as you'd expect. The card did look very nice, though. Upper Deck did a good job. They always do with clear cut. And it's going to be a lot of fun, Troy, to track secondary market sales on the big cards and see how some of these cards do, because they do pump some kind of neat cards out of this product.
Yep.
All right. PWCC is a Gong Show partner and sponsor. Incredibly honored and humbled for their support of our show. Remember, the February premiere auction is live, runs through February 22nd. 8 hockey cards in this month's premiere auction, highlighted by the 2015 The Cup Connor McDavid True RPA, True Rookie RPA out of 99, BGS 9510. Currently a bid of just 90,000 US. Otherwise known as pocket change for Troy. So you can help our ratings by buying that Topps Gretzky PSA.
Gretzky and then this one, just with the
and then you could help make our sponsor happy by buying the I don't see any reason why you wouldn't, Troy. Kind of hurt and offended you're not doing it. But if you're like me and you're not in Troy's league, then the weekly auction might be more your speed. The current weekly is a big one, Troy. 350 cards choose from.
Yeah.
Jeremy Lee and I will be back live on YouTube this Sunday night starting at 8:30 Central Time, Journey's channel Sports Cards Live, for our weekly auction hockey watch party to cover all the cards closing in the weekly auction. Hope to see you all there and in the chat. But it is Thursday show, Troy, and like we do each week, we both have picked out our favorite vintage and modern cards to highlight. We're going to start with our favorite vintage hockey cards.
All right.
I picked this because this is a card I just love. It's the 1953 Parkhurst Maurice Richard, number 24, PSA 7. Top count at a PSA 7 is 49. 40 graded higher. There's 5 PSA 7.5s, 32 PSA 8s, 1 PSA 8.5, and 2 PSA 9s. It is not Maurice Richard's rookie, which of course is 1951. It would be the third year of a card. It's just an amazing card. Now, it's the third year of a Richard card, but not his third year, because his rookie season was in 1942-43, when cards were not produced because of World War II and wouldn't come back into production until the 1951 Parker set. So he's deep in his career by the time 1953 came out. If you're just listening to us like on a podcast app and not watching us on YouTube, I would ask you to do yourself a favor and go to the PWCC website, look up this card if you're not familiar with it. From an image, design, and art perspective, one of my favorite vintage cards I think I've ever seen. It is a landscape card, so it's a sideways card. Troy and I both typically don't prefer those, but I just love the painting of Maurice Richard on this card, and it's a great it's a great reason for the card to be landscape instead of portrait, in my opinion. Does this card speak to you as much as it does to me, Troy?
Oh, definitely. This card is absolutely beautiful. Looks awesome. I love it. I wish, you know what? The one thing I wish the auto maybe was also horizontal or horizontal, I guess. I don't know. Like, I don't like how it goes up and down. I'd rather have it go left to right, but maybe that's the only spot where they had enough white space to put it.
I'm actually not a big fan typically of the simile auto. That would, if I had like one criticism of this card, it would be that I don't typically love those, but I'm not super bothered by it in this case. Yeah, it is sort of weird. Well, what was the card that we looked at? Oh, it was one of the examples of clear cut, that one of the retros that had a facsimile auto that was, or no, it was a real auto. I think it was Steve Yzerman, where it was kind of vertical like that. The card is a PSA 7, so it's not going to be perfect. But that being said, though, Troy, and I think this is something that's really important when looking at vintage cards, is you have to kind of look at it from the eye appeal consideration. And there's nothing about the condition that I find distracting or that lowers the eye appeal, in my opinion. It's a card that's very pleasant to look at. You know, sometimes you have a card that will have like a big stain, or a corner is like so bad that you just can't, or the centering is so off that you can't really focus on anything else. Now, the card is off-centered. It's off-centered from left to right and top to bottom a little bit. I would call it like medium. I don't know. Is that a good word to describe how it's not horribly off-centered, but it's not I wouldn't call it minor either.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's basically it looks about off-centered, both the same amount on the left to the right and the top to the center. Like you have a big chunk, little chunk on each side.
What helps though the perception of the centering is that in the painting, it gets very light around the white border. And so it doesn't the border isn't as pronounced as it is in other cards where there's more contrast between the background, like where the background of the card ends and the border
Yeah.
begins. So I'm kind of a centering snob, but the centering on this card doesn't really distract me to a great degree. Corners aren't perfect, but they're very acceptable for a PSA 7 and of course an 81-year-old card. The surface looks great, the image quality, the richness of the color, registration all look good to me. So, yeah, this is a
Yeah,
very,
there might
very
be a
nice
little
card.
slight registration at the top, like the elbow. It
Okay,
looks like
maybe a
it
little bit.
bleeds a little bit, but I mean, it took me a little bit to see that. I love the ice because he's stopping, like the
Yeah.
spray. I just noticed that. That's pretty cool.
Troy, Joseph, Henri, Maurice, Rocket Richard, PC, CC, OQ
Mm.
played 18 seasons for your Montreal Canadiens in the National Hockey League. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, well, what the heck is PC, CC, and OQ at the end of his name? These are orders bestowed by the Canadian government.
Mm.
Probably the best way to put it. So PC stands for King's Privy Council for Canada. CC is the Order of Canada, which is the second highest honor in Canada as far as orders of merit are concerned. And OQ is the National Order of Quebec. I don't have any cool letters.
Nope, I got none.
Richard is, of course, the namesake of the Maurice Rocket Richard Trophy, which is presented each season to the NHL player that scores the most goals in the regular season. Trophy was donated to the NHL by the Montreal Canadiens in 1999. So prior to 1999, there was no Rocket Richard. I find that kind of interesting. As you'd imagine, he's a pretty amazing goal scorer in his day. I suppose it'd be weird if he wasn't, and he had the goal scoring trophy named after him. In 978 NHL games, he scored 544 goals. That's a .56 goals per game average, which of course is pretty good. He won a single Hart Trophy in 1946-47. But more importantly, though, or I guess the more important trophy, the Stanley Cup, he only won 8 times as a player. That's it.
Nice.
Disappointing. First team All-Star 8 times. Second team All-Star 6 times. And of course, Rocket Richard is at the very tippy top of the mountain when it comes to NHL, the greatest NHL players of all time. If you don't know how much, I guess I would say too, I mean, we don't do like extensive bios here. If you don't know much about him, I would strongly encourage looking him up, learning more about. It's kind of a fun guide to learn about. And I think owning, and it's not a rookie, but owning any Rocket Richard hockey card is pretty dang cool in my book. Last sale for 1953 oh boy. A 1953 Parkhurst Maurice Rocket Richard PSA 7 was $1,900 US in May 2022. Also the all-time high. You got a current bid?
$220 US. All
right, so we go from Rocket Richard to whom, Troy?
All right, we got our boy, another Canadian, Bert Olmsted.
Bert.
So this is the 1954 Parkhurst, Josh. Bert Olmsted, PSA 7. I love Bert. Well, wait till hear about our guy, Bert. Bert's pretty cool.
Bert. I'm just gonna say Bert every time you do.
Keep making us saying it. No, the reason I mean this card jumped out because I had to do a search because the name, I'm like, nope, I don't think we've ever done this guy. And then you look him up and you're like, of course I didn't know who this guy was. Why would I know who he is since he's in the Hall of Fame? But I just gave away something, but we'll get to that in a little bit.
Sure.
I'm gonna start with the card. Josh, card's a PSA 7, just like the one you looked at. Again, I'm kind of like you. It looks really, really nice. The left to right centering, Josh, I think is dead on. Like it looks really nice. Obviously,
nice.
top to bottoms where it's off, as you can see. But man, that left to right centering looks really good. Again, corners, I should zoom in so we can see this. I mean, corners look really good. Obviously, there's some wear, just a little bit. But again, really old card from 54, but man, looks really good. The great color on the picture, like really nice color. If this is what I mean, the picture, the deep reds and the blue. Looks really nice. I love the ice, like the blue ice. I think that looks really cool. There's a slight registration issue at the top. You can see the printing plate probably got off a little bit at where it meets the white border. So you can see something there. But to me, that doesn't distract me very much. And you're talking about the autographs, like this or the facsimile autograph, it's almost like hidden. It's like it doesn't jump out at you at all. So it's kind of interesting. The back of the card is probably, I wonder if this, I know the backs aren't supposed to be that important, but you can see there's definitely ink smudges or something going on. And I'm curious of how much that contributed to the grade. But you can see there's little black kind of marks everywhere. But I really don't care about the back. So the front of this card, I think, looks really, really nice for what it is. And again, I have to always remind myself on these Parkers. These cards, these 54 Parkies, had two different versions. They had the regular, which you see here, and then they had the lucky premiums, where you could send in to get hockey equipment, or I think camera was another thing. You could have got a camera. So just remember, there's two different versions of this guy or this card.
Could have been a YouTuber in 1954.
Yeah, he could have been getting your nice camera that you'd send off. Remember we had to go get film developed? Ooh, aging ourselves. Okay. Now we have to talk about Murray Albert Olmsted, also known as Bert Olmsted. Oh,
I never knew. Look what you learned. Even I learned something on the show, Troy. Bert is short for Albert.
There you go. I was waiting for you to say Bert again, but you didn't say it.
Bert.
All right. Forward from Scepter, Saskatchewan.
Ooh.
I like that. I like that. It's like a cool movie name. Hall of Famer. 5-time Stanley Cup winner.
That's it?
That's it. 2-time NHL second All-Star team selection. 4-time NHL All-Star game selection. 181 goals, 421 assists for 602 points in 848 games played. Over a 14-season NHL career, he played for the Blackhawks, the Canadiens, the Maple Leafs. Back then, you didn't have many options, so it looks like he played for half. If there was 6 teams still in the league. And this is just cracks me up. So I go to research Bert Olmsted, and his NHL.com, not kidding you, this is what it starts with. Not known as the best skating forward, Olmsted used a physical playing style to compensate for that weakness, earning the nickname Dirty Birdie. That's the
Dirty Birdie.
First sentence in his bio. So thank you, NHL.com, for Dirty Birdie, and he can't skate very well.
I just think that that's what they told you why he was nicknamed Dirty Birdie, but that's not the real reason.
Yeah. Oh, stop. Best season of his career was his 1955-56 season with Montreal, where he had 14 goals, 56 assists for 70 points in 70 games. Not a math show, 1 point per game. His 56 assists during the season were at the time, Josh, an NHL season record.
Wow.
There you go.
Dirty Birdie.
Yep. On January 9th, Josh, 1954, Olmsted scored 8 points in one game, which is currently ties him for second all time. There's a lot of people at 8. I think one's Daryl Sittler, right, with 9, if I remember right.
Yeah. You see McDavid had 6 apples.
6 assists. Yeah, 6 assists or whatever. Yeah, that's crazy. All right. PSA 7 pop of this card is 18 with 13 graded higher. There are 69 total copies of this card graded by PSA. Last sale of a PSA 7 was for $150. That just that's crazy. On August 6th of 2023 via the PWCC vault. Current bid, Josh, $10.
So now you got to buy one Gretzky PSA 10 rookie, one Connor McDavid Cup RPA, and one Dirty Birdie for $10.
Dirty Birdie, PSA 7, 54 Parky.
This wasn't a plan, Troy, but we're going to move on to our next kind. It kind of makes this a Wayne Gretzky rookie show. I had to pick this one, and we never do this because literally there's a Wayne Gretzky rookie in every single one of these weekly auctions. But there was a couple things that were unique about this card that made me want to look at it on today's show. First of all, Wayne Gretzky, hockey player, starting late 70s, was pretty good. You've heard of him, right?
I've heard of him.
Yeah. Okay, good. It's a very nice copy. Doesn't take a genius to look at it for a few minutes and say, wow, that's a nice Gretzky rookie. So I'm going to do a couple things. I want to do, first of all, a poor man's Jeremy Lee assessment of the card. Okay. Very, 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 very poor man's. And then what kind of made me most interested in highlighting this card is doing the PSA 9 comparison. Because the PSA 9 of a 1979 O-Pee-Chee is like $130,000 card right now.
Yeah.
And so you're like, well, why would a Beckett 9 be in the weekly auction? That's usually kind of a premier auction type card. So wanted to, and I was shocked. I'm just going to tell you that. We'll get to that in a second. Let's look at the pop differences first between PSA and Beckett. So at the Beckett grade, BVG 9, this card has a pop 57, 12 graded higher, 11 BVG 9.5. So that would gem mints. That would be equivalent to PSA 10s. And then there's one Beckett 10 pristine. Got a question now. So we have now one of the Topps Gretzky rookie PSA 10s up for sale. We've had one of the O-Pee-Chee, who's highest selling ever, 3.75 million. There's a huge PSA price preference, right? They definitively have the highest value. But if the BVG 10 ever went for sale, would you think it would beat a PSA 10 price?
No.
Because it's technically a higher grade, or no?
I don't think so.
I don't really know. I could see it going either way, I guess. Now, if we do the PSA comparison to the BVG 9, there's 93 PSA 9s, so there's more. But of course, there's only 2 PSA 10s. I guess there's 95 total between PSA 9 and PSA 10, and 68, 69 total for Beckett. 9 or higher. Does it surprise you that how for a long time Beckett was so much more popular in PSA, and this card has been graded forever and ever and ever, of course, because it's what, 50 years old?
Yeah. 40
years old at this point. Does it surprise you that there's less Beckett 9s than there are PSA 9s?
That does surprise me. I wonder how many of these have been. Do you think that a lot of these doesn't affect the numbers really? But
I don't think there's currently
any cracked and sent to PSA.
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh, and just wait. Buckle up, as they say.
Oh, all right.
So I'm going to do my poor man's Jeremy Lee, and I have anxiety about it and here's the reason, because I know on Sunday Jeremy's going to do it, and he's going to everything I say that's nice. He's going to be like, "This is total garbage," right? But here's my poor man's Jeremy Lee on this card. Of course, in my opinion, the card is super nice. Going to be very envious whoever picks it up. Corners and edges look really nice. Centering looks a little good. Maybe a touch off right to left. It does have that O-Pee-Chee rough cut, but a very slight amount.
Yeah.
So almost hard to tell. You have to kind of zoom in pretty close on it. The biggest issue I see is the registration, and it's the yellow plate, Troy. So if you go along the Oilers name, you can see it's offset to the bottom and to the right.
Yep.
And then you can really tell in the oil drop, which is in the lower right portion of the card.
Oh, yeah.
Where the red plate is perfectly set for the oil drop within the logo, but the yellow is kind of off skew to the bottom. Overall, though, I mean, this is a card I'd be pretty happy with owning. Now, does that registration kind of make you out on this card, or do the other attributes make up for it?
Oh, man, I don't know. Like, to pay that much money for it, I would probably want a different copy, maybe. But I'll say this: I didn't even really know. I didn't notice that until you pointed it out. Like, so that's one of those things where it's like, maybe it doesn't bother me. Maybe that helps keep the price a little bit lower, though.
Now, here's where it gets to kind of what I think is a little bit of the mind-blowing part. So remember, there's 57 Beckett 9s and there's 93 PSA 9s.
Mm-hmm.
And I said last sale of a PSA 9 is $134,000. Last sale of a 79 O-Pee-Chee Beckett 9, Troy, $17,080 US.
Whoa! Wow, that's crazy.
And then the sale before that was $24,000.
Yeah. Ooh.
I sell ever of a Beckett 9, $52,000 from the PWCC Vault in July 2021. I think high sale ever of a PSA 9 is like $268,000.
When you buy this just to try to crack it and send it in PSA?
That's what I'm saying. 'Cause I don't think they care as much on PSA 9. Yeah, why wouldn't you do that? I mean, the card would go up $117,000 in value.
Yeah.
Unless you're like a Beckett fan and you see and don't.
Or you don't want to damage it. I mean, that's
Well, yeah,
always
but you're
risk.
selling it right now. So why would that not be a risk? Unless you think it was overgraded by Beckett. But I don't know. It feels like a 9. It'll be really interesting to see what Jeremy says. Tune in. This Sunday night. Yeah. What do you got a current bid, Troy?
$13,000 US. Well,
that's pretty strong. Because with buyer's premium, that's going to be what, 15.6?
Yep.
So already in last sale. So it's a good chance it beats last sale. Okay, we're going to switch to modern. First card I picked, Troy, is a 2020-21 Upper Deck Tim Stützle. Young Guns Clear Cut PSA 10 Gem Mint. Now, I'm still on board of the Stützle Express, Troy. Even though this season's hasn't gone like super awesome.
Yeah, did he call you and complain or what?
No.
Did he complain about
I like how I don't want to like rip him up. I love how Bill Sims put it. It's like I haven't sold my stock or I haven't sold my real estate on Stützle Island or whatever. I still think he's one of the more promising prospects in the game. I love Aztec cards. Young Guns Clear Cut fan. So PSA 10 too really caught my eye. PSA 10 pop is 26, 54% gem rate. Now, if you compare this card to like his base Young Guns, PSA 10 pop there, this might surprise you too, Troy. 3,052 PSA 10s. So you're comparing 3,052 to 26.
So you're telling me I should submit my Stützle Young Guns?
You should buy it at an insane amount.
I should buy it at an insanely high price.
And watch the value fade into obscurity. Yep. Young Guns Clear Cuts are pretty tough pulls too. So Stützle is a 2020-21 Series 2 Young Gun. Pack odds, Troy, to hit any Young Guns Clear Cut were 1 in 288. Of course, with 50 Young Guns on the checklist, that means you had to open on average 14,400 packs to hit a Tim Stützle Young Guns Clear Cut. Then you drill down further, about like half 50% gem rate to get to the PSA 10. Of course, it makes this a pretty tough Stützle rookie to hit. Now, Stützle is just 22 years old, already in his 5th full NHL season. He's played 258 NHL games, 84 goals, 140 assists for 224 points. Pretty close to point per game player, even early in his career. Last season, at just 21 years old, he had 39 goals and 90 points. So this is like where everyone got excited about this guy.
Yeah.
Like I said, hasn't been great this year, not horrible. He's played 48 games, only 11 goals, though. Yeah. Has added 36 assists for 47 points. The Senators have been a complete dumpster fire, have not performed well, been disappointing. So there's that added onto it, too. Hard not to call this year a little bit disappointing for Stützle, I guess, when it's all said and done. But if you still believe in his upside, this step backwards this season might be your gain and create a buying opportunity. Last sale of a 2020-21 Upper Deck Tim Stützle Young Guns Clear Cut PSA 10 was $618 last month on January 4th. All-time high was February 2022. Now, the pop count was only 2 at the time.
Yeah.
It's 26 now. At that time, though, it's over $2,250 US. So, again, you never want to buy a card that you know. These are hard to get, but it's not like there's only 5 in existence.
Yeah.
That's the acetate or whatever it is. You don't want to buy it when it's a pop 1 or 2. Because then a couple years later, it's a pop 26, and it's gone down by 3/4 of its value almost. You got a current bid?
$310 US.
Okay, this is where you go off the rails. So,
well, I was just gonna say now it's time to go down Troy's rabbit hole of the PWCC Weekly Auction. So, all right, this is the first time I think I'm taking a totally different approach now with my modern card selection, and I'm gonna give a little background. So I was looking at the current PWCC Weekly Auction, and there was a 2008 O-Pee-Chee 7980 Retro Rainbow Bobby Orr PSA 7. If you're watching on YouTube, I have it up. Okay. And I was like, man, that's a cool looking card. But then I had it sorted by earliest, I think, or latest year, whatever. It doesn't matter which way it's going. And then I look at the next card right next to it. And it's with a different player. And I'm like, oh, this one's really cool too. And then all of a sudden I go down the rabbit hole. There's like 10 of these cards available. All different players.
So somebody collected the set and is uploading the whole thing.
and they're well, there's 600 of these bad boys. Like the set is huge, but there's a bunch being offloaded right now. 10 are being offloaded. So I was like, what are these? Are awesome. And I should know, I think I actually have a Pekka Rene of one of these, but these are all retro rainbow parallels, and the retro rainbows were out of 100. So all these are serial numbered out of 100. So there's 9 of these cards. They're all graded in the PWCC. They all look awesome. So now if you're watching on YouTube or you're listening, I'm going to run through them. So there's a Bobby Orr. There's a Dino Ciccarelli. I mean, come on. This is just another thing about these cards.
Awesome.
The photos are fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Now, I don't know if that's Mike Vernon. It kind of looks like Mike Vernon, but I'm not sure what number he was in the background. Just fantastic. Guy Lafleur, Yari Curry, Jean Beliveau, or Beliveau, right? Beliveau.
Yeah.
Mike Bossy, Patrick Waugh, Peter Stastny, and then Phil Esposito is the last one available. I don't know. These are all to me awesome. They're all graded. They're all out of 100. So again, they're all the retro rainbow versions. There also were retro versions and retro blank back versions, but I think the retro rainbows are the only ones that are serial numbered. And so when you look at these cards, whoops, I went way too far. We're going to put the Ciccarelli because it's just the coolest card ever. Obviously, they're a throwback to the classic, the 79-80 O-Pee-Chee cards. I've talked about it many times. They're serial numbered. The photos, I still can't get over it. I think the photos just look awesome. The color looks awesome. I'm sure they're shiny because they got that like retro rainbow. But Josh, now that I start thinking, or I was thinking about it earlier, it's like, am I the biggest hypocrite? Because I've said this before, I'm not a fan of retro designs. These companies go to the well so many times, but maybe I make an exception for this one. And then I kind of broke my brain because I'm like, well, I love legendary players on modern cards, but what about legendary players on modern cards with retro designs? I don't know where I stand on that, but I think these are like some of the coolest looking cards. I don't probably ever to me. I just love how these look. I think they are so unique and so cool. I won't go into the condition of each card, and we'd be here forever, but just know this. They're all graded by PSA. Use that as a guide. You can zoom in on them. They got great pictures on the PWCC site. All of them have a PSA pop of 101 with none graded higher.
Yeah, so because I was curious because I know like some are like PSA 7, a bunch are PSA 8. There might be one PSA 9. And I just looking through the pop report, going back to our toolkit, I found 6 or 7 total of all the retro rainbows at PSA 10. So there's hardly any of them are PSA 10. So don't think that somebody's just offloading the junky ones. They're tough grades.
Yep. And they're just fantastic cards. So Josh, I'm kind of curious, what are your thoughts? Are you in love with them as much as I am, or am I just going off the deep end?
I wasn't until I went to the PSA pop report and I see the image of Dino Ciccarelli, and it's the rainbow. Like it shows the rainbow colors.
Oh, you can see the rainbow better.
You can see it's very colorful.
Nice.
And these ones look almost like base cards. It just has to be like the lighting or the angle or whatever PWCC uses. But the Dino Ciccarelli that I'm looking at it's literally got every color in the rainbow in it, and it looks awesome. So after seeing that, I'm huge, and I'll probably be buying some tonight.
these are so cool. I love these. I love how they look. And I'm going to go over this quickly, but so let's start with the like current bids and everything. So let's start with Bobby Orr. The record high, the recent sale. I'm going to read off the recent sale for each one of these. They're all raw. There's obviously these graded ones haven't been sold before that I could find. So the Bobby Orr, $201.81 US is the most recent sale. That's raw. Current bid, $11. Our boy Dino, most recent sale on January 19th of this year was $3.69. US, it's currently at $5 US. Guy Lafleur, recent sale, $40 US, and that was in October of 2022. Current bid is $7 US. And then we have our boy Yari Curry. Recent sale was $19.99 in January. I put 04. That can't be right. It must be 2024. And current bid is $7 US. Jean Bellevue, $82.57 in November of 23. $7 is the current bid US. Bossy, $66 in October 2022. It's currently at $14 for the bid. Patrick Waugh, $151 was his most recent sale in January of this year. Currently bid is $21.
That Patrick Waugh is a cool one.
Yeah, it's great. It's just the coho and everything just looks so cool. Look how big his glove is. That's just nuts. Peter Stastny, $23.51 in October of 2022. Current bid, $5 US. And finally, Phil Esposito, $36.65 in October of 2022. Current bid, $7 US. So
pretty awesome.
Have at it. These are awesome. I'm going to be bidding on some of them. We better talk and make sure we're not trying to outbid each other on these.
Yeah, we'll coordinate. No, we don't even coordinate our own show, so
Yeah.
we're going to bid against each other, and that's probably just how it's going to go.
You'll be on the show trying to bid up, and I'm bidding, and it'll be crazy.
Okay, one more card to look at. It's a 2020 SP Authentic. Do you see my spelling mistake in the show notes? It's kind of funny.
Oh, yeah, I do. Yeah, that's good.
I had Booby Orr, but it's Bobby Orr. Jerry Cheevers and Phil Esposito. Sign of the Times 3 autos. So out of 15. PSA 8, Pop 2, 1 copy graded higher. I think this is an amazing card if you're a Boston Bruins fan and collector. I'll get into that a little more in a bit. 3 beautiful hard signed autos from Bruins legendary players, of course, highlighted by Bobby Orr. Vertical card, blue highlighting throughout the card and kind of complements the marker color used. On the right border of the card, each player is like a smaller body photo. Cheevers, of course, has a crazy mask on, like you would expect. So that's an awesome element to the card. Now, when I see cards like this, I'll wonder, Troy, like how many other cards are there where these 3 Bruins greats have signed the cards? So I decided to look that up. This is the only one I found, which makes the card really even that much more special and cool. Right? Like we're in a day where there's like a trillion of every card. Now, it's not the 3 greatest players ever in Boston's history because Cheevers, I don't think, is even in the top 10. He's probably in the top 15, top 20 most legendary Bruins players. But still, I mean, he's very collectible. He signs a lot from Upper Deck, so that probably helps a little bit. But like I said, this is the only time these guys have ever done it.
Well, yeah, and I will say this too. I think Cheevers has a huge following in Boston. I think.
But if you win like the 3 greatest Bruins, I think you would put Bray Bork instead.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Oh, I get that. Yeah.
Now, coincidentally, that card only exists one time, and that's the 2006-7 Sign of the Times 3 card. So again, just really kind of, and only 15 copies made of the card made too. I also wonder, because this is a hard sign card, there's just part of me that feels like these are all going to be sticker autos very soon.
Yeah,
that's another big plus.
You're right. That's what we're running into. I love these SP Sign of the Times 8s or 6 or whatever they are.
Yeah,
they're always
awesome.
So cool, but they have to. I want them to stay hard. Hard signed autos. I don't want stickers. I don't want stickers to inundate these, but it feels like that's the trend.
There's medication for that trend. Okay, back to the show. So you're a fan of multiplayer autos as well, and
it has to be the right. I mean, obviously, it has to be the right card. Like I'm a fan of these Sign of the Times. I just think they've always been Really good looking in SP Authentic.
I've only found one sale. This card was a raw copy. So for $311 US on February of last year, feels like that person got a deal to me. $300.
Yeah.
Think of like how many random young guns with population counts of 4,000 right now get sold every day for $300. Just wild.
Well, do you remember that one we were looking at, or I think I was looking at the expo like 2 years ago, or this 2 fall expos ago? It was a Bruins card. I think it had Bobby Orr. It was really cool. Can't remember exactly what it was, but it was a lot more than this. But this is for $311 all day.
Now, condition wise, it's a PSA 8, and I think if you look at like the bottom left corner, there's a little bit of white there, but it doesn't bother me. This card is, the card just has to be like serviceable, and not like.
Oh, totally, Josh,
what?
These are stickers.
This sticker.
Now we know why it's $311. Boy, that you had to zoom in. I had to zoom in hard.
Oh, sneaky.
So now I'm wondering, are all these stickers? Did I have a dream that they were all hard signed autos?
Oh, that is. Well, they use good stickers because thank you for doing that, Trey.
We learn.
How do you make the rewind sound? Like sticker auto, still $300. Not bad. So yeah, that is a bummer. Just look at it from far away. You won't be able to tell. You got a current bid?
It is 100 and I believe $50 US. I'm all like gooped up now, and I need $180 US. Now I'm going to look up all these SP Authentic Sign of the Times multiples to see if they're all. Oh geez, this one looks like it's stickers. I give up. Maybe they're all.
I was snookered by the sticker, Troy. Snookered by the sticker.
Maybe they're all stickers. Someone will let us know. Here's a golf one. So
that does not look like sticker. That is really now that I see it. Gary Cheever or Jerry Cheever is the giveaway, because you can see the sticker protruding onto his jersey there.
Yeah, all the ones I'm finding online are stickers, so never mind. I thought, man, why did I think these were hard signed? Maybe there's a couple that were. I don't know.
Which ones that I think we have one, or I have one. The O-Pee-Chee Premier has multiplayer autos, and I want to say those are hard signed. But so maybe that's an option we need to look at.
There you go. We all learn
a bit more down the road. Live and learn.
Live and learn.
To 2020 SP Authentic, Sign of the Times 3, Bobby Orr, Cheevers, Esposito, sticker autos.
Sticker auto.
PSA 8. Now you can bid on all these cards and the 350 others in the current PWCC Weekly Auction at PWCCmarketplace.com. We've been working on the show so much, we have done nothing for buying hockey cards in the last. It's always the Monday to Thursday show is a quick turnaround.
Yeah, that's hard. It's
all consuming. But we will not. We teased the Whalers picture.
Yes.
Last show, and I think it's better than us having personal pickups, anyways. Let's be honest. Are you ready for it, Troy?
There it is.
I almost don't even have words.
Is that Aho or who's that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, 20, right?
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous. It's awesome. So it's the image of Whalers Day. I think what is it? Once a year, the Hurricanes do Whalers Day. This has got to be in warm-ups because I don't believe they'd be able to play.
No, they don't wear those during the game. And the thing is, those don't even look. They look like They look like Bauer wind pants or hockey pants that you'd wear as coaches and stuff. I don't think they're actually the Cooperalls. I don't even know if they could make those anymore, or you could find them, but they look perfect. They look exactly like it, but you can tell how big the thing at the bottom to fit the skate. These almost look like Bauer pants, but it looks awesome. It's
cool. A white Whalers jersey with green Cooperalls, and to top it off, a navy blue, white, and green bandana.
Yeah.
That each player wore,
or the headband. It's got the headband.
Or headband. I thought they had to have helmets on during warm-ups. Is this like a fine or?
Well, it's funny you said that, because someone, was it Rasmus Dahlin, he was out skating without a helmet, And I think they thought like his teammates hit it. And they're like, well, hopefully the teammates pay the fine because there is a fine, I think, but maybe they get an exception.
Wasn't that like one of the, was it Bedard? Or was it another rookie? Remember that in your first game, you do like the rookie lap?
Yeah.
And they did without a helmet and they got fined, right?
Oh, really? Yeah.
Okay, so one more thing.
Rules.
One more thing before we go. You might know this, but something else I learned today. I was having my daughter listen to Spin Chicklets, not the show, because good God. But they interviewed Sarah Nurse and trying to introduce her to women's hockey players, obviously legendary Canadian hockey players. So very cool for them to interview her and to shine a spotlight on the women's game. And Sarah played hockey at Wisconsin collegiately. And they asked her on the show what was like stood out about playing hockey at Wisconsin or in the Midwest. And what she said, which I never knew, is she was like, somebody said the word breezers to her, and she was like, "What is that?" She's like, "They call pants."
Yeah,
breezers.
they call them hockey pants. In Canada,
and then somebody on the show said that like only in the Midwest do they call it breezers. Did you know that's only a thing here in the Midwest?
I don't think I knew that, but yeah, that makes sense because we always have our stupid little colloquialisms, right? Pop. Rest of the U.S. calls it soda, except the Midwest, or actually except like Minnesota, Wisconsin, it's like pop.
Sure. Yeah. So breezers is our thing.
Breezers.
There you go. All right. If you like the episode, please leave a rating and review on Apple, Spotify, whatever podcast app you listen to us on. If you love the show, you want to support us, you want to help Troy get that Gretzky rookie. We would need a hell of a lot of people to sign up for Patreon. But every donation is appreciated and helps us a lot make the show possible. So please consider $5 a month donation. Join our $1.99 support level tier on Patreon. Link is in the show description. Within our Instagram profile, our TikTok profile, on our Hockey Cards Gongshow website, there's a Become a Patron link. And then you go to the Patreon website directly at patreon.com. We are on social media. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitter, and YouTube, of course. And Troy, the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast is a production of Dollarbox Ventures, LLC. Have an awesome weekend, and we'll chat with you all on Monday.